we are going to talk about something that is near and dear to many agents' hearts, GCI, and why you're worried about the wrong thing. So, Nate, we're streaming here live now. You want to say a few words before we dive in?
Yeah, we just want to make sure everybody understands that when you are looking at your revenue numbers in business, you have top line and bottom line. A lot of these bright and shiny people who talk to you about your commissions, they're talking to you about top line numbers, and top line numbers don't really matter when it comes to your household. The most important numbers that you're talking about there, when it comes to you being able to live the life that you deserve and to live the impactful life you want to live, your bottom line number is what helps you achieve that. And what we're going to go over today is what you should be focused on as as far as what you need to be doing, the numbers you need to be putting up, and the things you need to be paying attention to achieve that bottom line number.
And that is exactly right. So let me go ahead and make this quick change real quick. We're going to give a quick PSA and we will get rocking and rolling. All right, so yesterday we had the monthly AMA for the insiders. We invited folks to be flies on the wall and we walked through a very in-depth way of how to guarantee that your content converts, leveraging demographics and psychographics. Now, I had several phone calls and messages after yesterday's call that was like, whoa. And I actually had someone outside of real estate that I went through this with and was like, whoa. If you missed the replay, we also gave, if you were live, we gave you the specific AI prompt in GPT to create your ideal client avatar. Now, we all hear about ideal client avatar. We flipped it on its head where you're actually getting content that resonates with them. If you didn't attend live, you missed out. Prompt is gone. If you search through the group, the Facebook group, you can find one of the prompts that I dropped in there. But action takers are money makers, as you hear us say all of the time. So head on over to theiconic.com/insider. We talked about yesterday 5Xing your leads and engagement on social media by speaking to your ideal client. It was an hour of pure step-by-step value. After you watch that, it should be very clear where you're missing out. The replays will be live this afternoon, step-by-step instructions so that you can take and create that. Now, just a side note, marketing companies charge thousands for this in the past, and they probably still do, because if you don't know, you don't know. Take a look at it, take action, go ahead and set up what you can set up. Next, we'll be talking about, next month, we'll be talking about building authority content effortlessly in 30 minutes with just your cell phone and Chat GPT. So we are here to make sure that we provide you guys with information, actionable information, so you can win. And we will continue to do that on these Wednesday tune-up and the AMAs. If you would like question and answer, more new construction training, exclusive software and tools, some of it I'm going to actually demonstrate here today. AMA and Masterclass Recording Library, all of the AMAs we've done. If you're not familiar with AMA, it's basically a free coaching session with Nate and myself. And a bunch of other experts who pop on and answer questions. It's a conversation. It's community. Plus, new construction lead generation blueprints. Going over to theiconic.com/insider. And it is the cheapest that we do anything for. The most amount of value you're getting there. It's ridiculous value that we're dropping in there. We're constantly pouring into you. There's also a Q&A section. So quick PSA. So now we're just going to dive in and have a conversation. Let me check the... here. All right, good. All right, so you see Kev, what's going on?
How's it
All right,
going?
perfect. So, what we are going to talk about today is GTI and why it's irrelevant for most of the goals that you're setting up. Everybody hears about GCI, like, what's your GCI goal? So, let me give you some context here. Last week, we took some of our top producing agents and clients and we did a life architecting session. So I'm not going to go into that because it's a whole other conversation. But the life architecting concept basically is setting your visions and your goals, what most people would take 5 years to accomplish, we accomplish in 1 year to about 18 months. So it's setting the vision, and we cover two areas. We cover body and business. Those two intertwine like most folks don't realize. And Nate and I have stories for days on that. Let me see here. All right, cool. Now, the way we structure it, so it's a process. You start off with where are you, your foundation. You got to be 100% honest with yourself. Because if you lie to yourself, you can lie to anybody else, but don't lie to yourself. So there's a lot of pain that goes through there, but also revelation, like, okay, here's where we can fix. So we do body and business. We start off with where you are, the foundation of where you are. Then we go to what we call the impossible game, which is that's your vision and goal. And then we talk about how to get there. So in day two, when we talk about the impossible game, it is 3 areas of focus. Reasonable, which is in your business. It's in the next year to 18 months, you want 1 to 2x your norm. That's reasonable. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're probably going to get the same result. If you work twice as hard, you'll probably get twice the result. Simple, right? Then we do radical. Radical is 5x where you are, Mary. Meaning, where you are right now, the person you are, the man or woman you are right now, you have to fundamentally change your resources, strategies, tactics in order to get to 5x. That's radical. Impossible is, oh, hell no. I am not the man or I'm not the woman that I need to be in order to get 10x of where I am now. So what do you have to do? You have to fundamentally change. So that's the context. Now, within each one of those, reasonable, radical, and possible, we have 4, not 3, but 4. We've got 4 qualifications that we go under. The first 2 are all the same across all, reasonable, radical, and possible. It's cash. So the first one is cash. The second one is savings. And the third and fourth, so third is lifestyle. What's the type of lifestyle that you like to live? That's the vision you're painting for yourself. And then fourth, what do you want your business to look like? So across all 3 of those, we've got cash and savings. So let's say you have what most agents will put in there is, okay, I want, and I heard this a lot, I want 150K GCI or I want 200K GCI, which is what most people will put in. Oh yeah, 200 grand GCI, that's solid. Let's do that. Wrong. You don't want to focus on GCI. I'm going to explain why in a minute. And any agent that has been in a game for a minute and understands or leverages GCI, and you also understand Uncle Sam and the disconnect between Uncle Sam and GCI. So in order to create the plan, if you're intentional, you'll typically accomplish that. So we've had folks that are like, yeah, I accomplished 150 GCI. And then the tax man cometh and expenses and spouses and all that. So what we're talking about today is the big issue is when you're setting your vision for 2026, do not focus wholly on GCI. Now, y'all might be looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? Why wouldn't we focus on GCI? GCI doesn't matter. What matters is your take home. That's what you want to be clear on. You want to be clear on your take home. Now, there's a book that I do not have out here right now, so I cannot tell you. It's called Profit First. If anybody's ever heard of, it's Mike McCallowic's The Profit First book, or if you've ever done Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace, those two there are fundamentally financial changes. Now, I do not agree with everything Dave Ramsey says, but I will tell you that the Financial Peace got me out of a bunch of issues financially about a decade ago, and then I had a $20,000 tax bill about 3 or 4 years ago. This was before I even really. This is when I was just focusing on helping real estate agents. I didn't even have my license yet. I was just teaching them marketing. I'm a marketing guy. I say this all the time. I'm a marketing expert, 20 plus years that got my real estate license versus a realtor, which most of you guys are, that is learning marketing. So we kind of inversed. But I had a $20,000 tax bill, but because I practiced and I didn't worry about, for me, it wasn't GCI. For me, it was just like total amount that you're making, which is the equivalent to GCI. I learned early enough to be proactive, which super important. I'll say it again, early enough to be proactive that I was able to, when I got the tax bill, I asked my lady, I'm like, oh, actually I talked to my lady and was like, I got a $22,000 tax bill. And she looked at me and was like, what are you going to do about it? I'm like, I'm probably going to I guess I'll make a payment plan. And she's like, why the hell would you do that? It's because it's a $22,000 tax bill. Aren't you putting money away and saving for it? Yeah. So, okay, cool. Wrote the $22,000 check, sent it to him. No men in black suits knocking on my door asking for money. That's awesome. And then it was like, it hurt, but then it was like liberating, like, oh my goodness, because I was proactive. So, this is something that I want to share with you guys. I've put an app together, which we'll be sharing. This is for new home insiders, but we're going to share a version of this because everybody needs this. So this is an app that I put together based on the profit first principles. So I'm going to explain to you. So the person that says, I want 200K GCI. My question is, do you really want 200K GCI or do you want 200K cash? Because being able to spend $200,000 is way different than being able to make $200,000. So we'll do a breakdown. Now, here's the methodology. It explains it, but basically you're going to put your money in buckets. I've added to the profit first strategy, but all the buckets equal 100%. So basically, if you look at this, every time you get paid, you want to put, so here, the default that I use, I put 5% in investments. So I'm with Real. So if you're with a brokerage that you can buy stock and what have you, I take 5% and I push over into my stocks, or I'll put it in my own personal stocks. I take 10% for profit. Now, profit is awesome. I'll explain why in a minute. 35% of everything that comes in is salary. Business operating expenses is 25%, and taxes is 25% as well. So I should probably, let's make this 30% and make this 20%. Because I like to overestimate. Now your taxes, the max, depending on how much you make. If you're over $500,000, closer to $1 million, this might be a little different for you. But and depending on how you're set up too, I'm not going to go into the logistics of LLC versus sole proprietor versus S corp with LLC under. You talk to your finance professional for this. And this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Go seek your own counseling. I'm just telling you what works for me and what I've done. So these have to equal 100%, obviously. So 30% for taxes. So this is the outline. Now, why is profit cool? I'm going to explain to you why profit is cool. Now, income goals. So let's say I want to walk away with $250,000. Average deal that I'm working on is $500,000, 3% commission. I want to save 10% of my salary. So when I click calculate plan, now you can do this math on your own, but this is where it gets good. For me to make, hold on, that says 25,000, 250,000. I'm sorry. Okay. For me to do $250,000 take home based on this right here, this is the GCI that I need to make. See, I didn't say how much GCI do I need to make. I said how much do I want to take home. Based on what I want to take home, we determine the GCI from that and how much to invest. and how much profit. Salary is that 35%. So it's basically, in layman's terms, to make $250,000, 250,000 is 35% of the GCI. That's how you want to look at it. So scrolling down here, we calculate my plan. That would be $714,000 GCI I would need to make to walk away with $250,000 cash. Now, here's where it gets good. So I know those numbers kind of scare some people, so let me back up. Let's just say 100,000 take home. This is take home. And again, I want you to remember what I mentioned about profit. This is what makes this cool. So let's say 100,000. We're going to scale it back. I'm not going to say realistic because your reality is your reality until it's not. We're going to scale back and just say $100,000 take home. You hit calculate my plan. So that's $285,000 GCI. That's a little more comfortable. That's kind of like, okay, I feel I can measure that. I can do that. Now, hold on a second. Let me minimize this. The annual money buckets with $285,000. This is what you'll be putting annually based on the buckets. So you'll put $14,000 into investments, stocks, real estate. That's a down payment on a multifamily or a business or whatever. Profit, $28,000. Remember I said profit's exciting? We're going to get to that in a minute. That's a salary of $100,000 in your pocket. Look at this. For all you agents out there that say, well, I don't have enough money to invest in ads and invest in marketing, to invest in leads. I'm just going to work from referrals and continue struggling because I got to wait for the next closing in order to afford it. You make $285,000. You can walk away with $100,000. That's $57,000 in business operating expenses. This is how you guarantee you put together a marketing budget and you have marketing expenses to grow and scale your business by following this structure. Then that's $85,000 in taxes. Now, your tax is probably not, if you have a good CPA, your taxes are not going to be $85,000. So whatever's left over, you just roll that into. Now, I keep alluding to this profit. Here's how profit works. That's $28,000. So let me break down. That's $28,000 profit. So remember when you had a job, if you've ever had a job, that you had profit sharing and a portion of the profits would be shared with your organization? Well, now you've got profit sharing. So let's take $28,000 and divide it by 4. So every quarter, you're giving yourself a $7,000 raise on top of your $100,000 salary. So if we look at this, your salary is $100,000, but your actual take home is $128,571 with making $285 GCI. Plus you've got operating expenses, no more excuses on that. And you've got investment. If you choose to do that, let's say you're like, I don't want to invest. You can come up here and change the numbers to whatever you need to. And I'll drop a link to this chat or one similar to this app or one similar in the replay to this so that you guys can play around with this. And this is just a small level of the detail that we go into with the life architecting. So if you missed this one, you can catch the one next quarter. Now, again, the results. We've got deals and revenue. This breaks down your monthly revenue target is $23,000. Weekly is $5,400, and your average commission per deal is 15 grand. Because again, $500,000, 3%. So you need 2 deals a month, and that's 20 deals a year at $500,000 if that's your starting point. Makes it really realistic, and when we break it down per deal, because these look like big numbers right here. Like this right here, it's like, oh, wow, that's a big number for some. It's a small number for others. Oh, it's a big number here. And if you have made 200, 300,000 GCI and you haven't had money to invest in your business and work through things, this is a reality check. And this is how the life architecting process is. It's a bunch of gut punches for excuses, for lies we tell ourselves, and then also exposing So here you're exposed. I'm like, oh, wow. But the key is now that you see this, you can do something about it. So let me turn off my annotations. So per deal, for every commission you have coming, you got $750 going to investment. You have $1,500 going to profit, $5,200 going to salary. So even if you just did a deal a month, that's still $5,000 towards your life living expenses, $3,000 to operating expenses, and taxes $4,500. That's per deal. So now every time a check comes in, you divvy these up. And the way the brain works, I'm very big into psychology, marketing psychology, understanding how people work. The way the brain works, which is why Financial Peace University, that process works, where you're putting actual money in envelopes, the brain expands to whatever we have. So if we only have $5,200 in the account, we're going to spend that $5,200. That's all we can work with. It's like your 401k. You don't know what was in your 401k until you go look in there, but you don't even miss it when it comes out. That's the discipline you have to get to following this process. And then your savings summary, that's $10,000 annual if you do 10%. And then when you have your monthly salary, actually this, I need to update this. So I'm not even going to explain what this is. That'll be updated. But this just gives you an understanding of why when it is that time of year, if you haven't already, you should already have next year kind of planned out. But our clients have it planned out and focused, and they're completely clear on where they are. This right here, they're clear on because they understand now GCI is not what we're looking at. We're looking at take home. Because with this structure, if you've ever been an employee or you still are an employee, Uncle Sam takes his money out first and gives you the scraps. When you are a sole proprietor and you're a business owner, you give Uncle Sam the scraps. The problem is agents spend all the money, and then when Uncle Sam comes running, they're like, oh my goodness, I've got 20, 30, 100, $200,000 in debt because you weren't proactive. This is the process that you can follow and the discipline, because you'll fail with this if you're not disciplined. So I just wanted to share this because it's that time of the year where agents are planning for next year, and this is something you absolutely need to consider. What is your take home? Not your GCI. You got to figure out what your take home is and back that out against GCI. This makes it simple. So now, as you do that, you can plan for investments. So, okay, we're going to go for $285,000, $300,000 in GCI, which means we're going to have $130,000 pretty much towards our household. Operating expenses. Okay, we have about $60,000 for operating expenses. What can you do with that? You can buy leads. You can learn how to market and control your own commission check. When you know how to market, boom, you can do that. You can put money away for investments. What am I going to spend what am I going to invest $14,000 in? What am I going to invest the $57,000 in? And then the taxes, you'll have that. So now you can look at this and say, okay, well, if I got $14,000 to invest, that probably means that fourplex we've been looking at, or a fourplex, we can probably, by the end of the year, we could throw something into that. Or we could take some of the profit, and we can take the profit and the investment money. And what's that? 28, 38, that's almost 40 grand. We could take all of that and drop that as a down payment, 20% down on a fourplex that's going to earn us some money in the following years. We have our 100 grand that we need to live. That's what, 10, it's a little more than 10 grand a month, a little less than 10 grand a month. It's like $8,500, $8,500 a month. We can live off of that. And everything else is paid. Business operating expenses, if we break that down on a monthly basis, that's 57,000. So if we do 57 divided by 12, that's almost $5,000 in monthly expenses that you could run. If you drop $5 grand on ads, the process that we teach, or just a good ROI system, you'll surpass 285. But now you can look at this with real numbers and say, okay, now I see, and you can avoid the mistake that so many agents and entrepreneurs have made with just focusing on how much money they're making, not how much money they want to take away. This makes that easy. So just wanted to share this. drop in the comments on the Facebook group if this was valuable, or if you got questions, drop it in there. I'll drop this link so you guys can play around with this on your own or a variation of this. But this is how you need to look at your money. Don't look at GCI. Don't focus on GCI. Focus on your take home and back it up against GCI. So if you want to make 100 grand take home, which is actually, remember the profit, it's actually 128,000. But if you want to make 100 grand, that's your monthly, that's your annual necessity. You need to make about 300 grand in GCI, which again comes down to 2 deals a month at $500,000 or whatever your average is. You just plug your numbers in here and it's going to give that to you. All right, we will see you guys next week on the next midweek tune-up for some more information and more value. Hope this was valuable. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll holler at you next week.